you ever had that moment where money comes into your account and I mean, you know it arrived because you got a notification, and then like a few days later you feel like the money never came in, like you don't know what happened to it? Or is it just me? Is it like a me thing? I've had those days, I've had those months, and one thing I know about them is that they are no fun. The month starts feeling longer than it is before it even starts. Do you know what I mean? So today I'll be sharing with you how I go about structuring my payday routine and how I make sure that I have enough money until end of the month by doing these simple 5 things. Hi, my name is Lesedi Dawn. I am an entrepreneur and a YouTuber here, and I am based in Johannesburg, South Africa. So we're gonna jump straight into today's video. If you're new here, hello, nice to meet you. Follow me on Instagram. Over here is my handle. Today particularly is the 30th of the month, so essentially almost the last day of the month. That is when I jump into my payday routine. Now, before I go into the 5 things that I do, I want to just put a disclaimer. I do run 2 businesses, and the tips that I'll be sharing are payday routine for your business, but also payday routine for you as an individual. So whether you're in business or you're in corporate, these tips should still apply. It's all about good money management principles. The first thing that I do is I always recon looking at my previous month, or rather my current month, as the month is about to end. Before I get into the new month, I always like to check, like, what was the damage? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And what could I have done better? Everyone has their own thing. For me, I know it's pampering myself or travel. Those are the things I just sometimes spend money on that I didn't plan for. You might maybe be someone that loves going on a shopping spree, and I know what we all do, right? We'll have our phones and, you know, just like tapping or watches, just like tapping as though Apple itself was fitting the bill for us, but it's still us. It's still us that need to be responsible for all of that jazz. So the first point to start at is to just recon, see where your money went. What did you do this month? What could you have done better? That is where I start. The second thing that I do is I always have a planning session. I actually had a planning session today at the office, given that it is essentially month end. The first thing that I always do with both businesses, like I've said, I run 2 businesses. I pay myself a salary, not 2 salaries, a salary, so half a salary, but I pay myself a salary, and that just allows me to be more disciplined during the course of the month. The businesses exist as separate entities from me, and therefore having a payday routine makes sense. But the first thing that I always do as part of my planning session is I pay my team first. So both businesses have separate structures, separate employees. So every time money comes in, so your payday routine could be on the last day of the month, or it could be twice a month, every second week, or however regularly you get paid, or however regularly you run your expenses. For me, the first thing is always pay the people that work for you or the people that work with you. It can be creatives, photographers, it can be your team, it could be full-time staff, part-time staff. For me, before I even pay myself, it's very important that I pay my team. We take so many responsibilities and so many risks, and as entrepreneurs, people tend to have this misconception that it means you're paying yourself the most, you're prioritizing only yourself, you'd rather get paid and your team salaries are late. I don't believe in that. I think stewardship plays such a big role. It's important to know your values as an individual. For me, I value stewardship, and I honestly believe that everything that lands on my plate or on my table, the table being any of the businesses, is not just for me to eat, but it's for us to share. Everyone that has a seat on the table deserves to eat, and often I let them dish up first. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, first thing I do, I pay the team. Next thing that I do as part of my planning session, if you see me looking this way, I'm looking at my MacBook. I've made notes because I want this video to be as insightful as possible for you. I hope that you are taking notes, because I've spent some time thinking about these particular steps, and there are things that I actively do every single month. So funny enough, I prepped this video 2 months ago, and I wanted to just go through more than one payday to see if my payday routine remains the same. And it does, because part of my payday routine, I feel like your payday routine is going to reflect what your values are. That might be a hard pill to swallow, but if when you get money, the first thing you think about is going out, then maybe going out is the main thing that you prioritize. Not to say that going out is not a good thing, and we'll get to the going out part. So there is a little bit of fun in this video, but it's important to make sure that certain things are covered first. So part of that planning session, you could either have like a coffee date with yourself, take yourself out for coffee, take yourself out for lunch, sit, just have some time outside of your normal environment. If having a payday routine is not something that you're used to, or you don't want someone looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing. I know for me particularly, I love to write, so I'll often have a written budget. I still have the digital version of that, simply because I like to be able to go back, look through months, have a summary of the quarter, have a summary of the year, and just to see what's taken place over a particular period of time. But I do also like sitting down and really crunching the numbers, and therefore writing is just something that I enjoy. There are different financial trackers that are available online. You can simply download a personal budget template that you can find in Excel spreadsheet, delete it, personalize it, make it your own, have it on your desktop, have it on your hard drive, have it somewhere where you feel safe enough to have it, but also somewhere where it's easily accessible for you to occasionally be able to check in with yourself on. Number 3, you want to make sure that you're setting a budget. Like I've said, I've got a personal budget because I have a salary, but I also have a business budget. My business budget is more of like a cash flow management budget, simply because there are certain things that I've learned from my early days as an entrepreneur, that cash flow is literally the bloodline of any company. Companies don't go out of business because they don't have a great idea. They go out of business often because they don't have clients, they're not making sales, or they don't have enough cash to sustain them during rainy days. COVID taught us a lot about the importance of having an emergency fund, and I feel like that's where many of us tend to struggle. And part and parcel of that is because we don't have a budget, and therefore we can't prepare, we can't plan, we're just living in the moment. And that is not always good, and that is why it's so important to have a payday routine. Because it is a routine, it becomes something that you do on a regular basis as part of your routine. This is very helpful because, one, it makes you assess what's coming in, what has to go out, and what has to go out essentially are your fixed expenses. There are certain expenses that are easy to remember, like, the roof over your head, paying for transportation, your utilities, and so on and so forth. Number 4, let's talk about automation. Automation does not even sound like a very cute word, for the most part, because it is not. It is not a cute word, but it's an important word for us as adults to be able to master. There are expenses that might be easy for you to remember, and then the expenses that you might forget. There are expenses that are more important than others, and certain bills can wait, or certain things can wait. By automating and making sure that you're not taking from one category and putting funds to another, or allocating to another category, will help make sure that you never miss anything that is important and quite vital for your survival. Again, there's nothing cute about automation, and I used to struggle with automation because I just always felt like if I have money on the 7th, I should be able to pay for my car on the 7th, even though the bill for my car is only due on the 30th or the 31st. And I noticed that it does affect my cash flow. And I know I'm using a very business related term, but I like seeing my money, because I feel like it can work for me better. If something comes up that allows me to have an opportunity for a return on it, I would rather have the money than wish I did. And personally, for me, I'm not a fan of borrowing money. I know none of us borrow because we want to borrow, because we're fans of borrowing, but I never like putting myself in a situation where I have to borrow, unless if it is a necessity. So I think it's very important to avoid putting yourself in that position, especially because when things are automated, you can also automate your savings. And automating your savings does not mean, having to automate 10%, 20%, and then halfway into the month have to borrow from yourself. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Automate an amount that is realistic and sustainable for you. You can start off with just saving 5%. I promise you, over a couple of months, that amount is going to start becoming something, and you are going to appreciate the fact that you were disciplined enough to do that. This is the reason why I actually got into automating my payments, because there's a particular bill that I kept forgetting. There are certain things that are easy to remember, like the roof over your head, your car, etc., utilities, because no one wants to run out of hot water. But there are things that are not so easy to remember, like funeral cover. I don't think about death every day. I don't think about funeral covering every day, but funeral cover is something that is essential, particularly for me. I've got much older parents, and God forbid anything is to happen. I just want to make sure that I am a responsible young adult, because I'm not 5. Like, we're not 5. If you're working and you can put certain measures in place, days like that happen. There are days that none of us wish for to happen. Just want to make sure that you're being proactive, and you're covering not only your loved ones, but you're covering yourself as well. So yeah, funerals is not something I think about every day. I'm more like pro-life, so I don't think about death every day. So I've had to automate some of these rather boring expenses that don't relate to me on a daily basis. I've had to be responsible enough to make sure that they're automated so that I never miss a payment, and therefore have a policy defaulting because I forgot. Like, I just forgot, Let's not be those people. Like, if you can, automate as much of everything as possible. Another reason why I think it's also important for you to automate your payments is because I've noticed how, particularly if you are, say for example, are paying off debt, many banks will just say it's okay if you pay us just the minimum amount, or this is your monthly installment. They put it to be like a small amount, and then because you haven't paid off your entire credit card, end of the month they're gonna add interest onto it, and the next month you're just gonna pay a minimum. They're gonna keep adding interest. You pay a minimum, they add interest, and I don't know, it just sounds like a pyramid scheme. Like, I just feel like it's very hard to get out of debt if all you're doing is paying the minimum amounts, because if you check often enough, the minimum amounts are like almost close towards, whatever interest rate is being put, or like almost half of your interest rate, etc., or even a quarter of your interest rate. Before you know it, like, you aren't even making progress. You end up borrowing from the very credit card that you're trying to pay off. So be smart and maybe automate an amount that is a little bit over than what is being asked for from you when it comes to your credit card or any bad debt that you have. Those are just some of the things that really are what we should be considering, and sitting down and having that planning session on your payday helps you to just see how far you are on your debt, how far you are in your savings, how close you are to your goals. And I think it can be really, really exciting. This brings me to my 5th and final point. What is left is for enjoyment. And I touched a little bit earlier about having an allowance, and I stand for allowances. I don't think allowances should be like only like boyfriend allowance, girlfriend allowance, or allowances from parents. I think you can give yourself an allowance. Like, you work really hard, give yourself an allowance. Like, it doesn't have to be anything mind-blowing. It could literally be 10% of your income is your monthly allowance, and you are using that to do things that bring you joy. This could be, brunch with friends. It could be you going shopping. It could be you renovating your apartment. It could be you buying your books. It could be you just going out for sushi. Like, it could literally be you doing whatever brings you joy, whatever helps you to recover, whatever helps you feel fulfilled in life. I feel like many of us sometimes just go through life as though we are just here to pay bills. No ways. There's so much more to life than just paying bills. There's so much purpose in us. There's so much value that we have to add beyond our 9 to 5. I'm so excited to be sharing this. Now, I did mention that I run 2 businesses, right? My first one's called Euro Media. It is a digital marketing agency that I started in 2019. So it's going on year number 4, which is super exciting. And then my second business is called Aura Management, which is an event staffing agency that I started in 2021. So it is on year number 2. I'm not even gonna call this one a business, not because it's not, but because I view it more as a community. It is called Bold Women Africa. And Bold Women Africa is literally that. It is a community of empowered, bold, brave women that aren't afraid to go after their dreams, that aren't afraid to live a full and fulfilling, wholesome life. A purpose-led life is what we're all about at Bold Women Africa. I've got a special announcement to make when it comes to that today. We are launching a membership club. So excited. I've been sitting on this concept for about a year now. Before I even left for Chicago for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and I wanted to make sure that I'm speaking to the right people, to make sure that I'm adding as much value as possible, and just really checking in terms of our tribe, is that something that will serve them? And we ran a couple of polls, my team and I, and we did find that quite a few people felt the need for mentorship. They felt the need for online events, in-person events, particularly for networking opportunities, but also quite a few spoke about how they are new entrepreneurs, or they've started a business and they're struggling with the branding, they're struggling with the marketing, they're struggling with positioning themselves, they're just struggling with the process of, going from 0 to 100 real quick, or rather just the process of starting. And I think the starting part is probably the most intimidating. So being a part of a private membership club is a great place to learn, a great safe space to ask your questions and not feel ridiculed or not feel judged by being in a large crowd, So for us, it's really about walking the journey with a few selected women that will be joining us. And I mean, it is open to even you if this is something that you feel is something that you need to start a business, but it's not going to be open to 100 women. Like, we're not taking in 100 women because we want to really keep you accountable on your journey. So part and parcel of doing that is making sure that we are able to check in with you. We're able to really hold your hand and walk this journey with you, which for me is super exciting. It's what I wish I had when I started out. Okay, I did. I was part of the F&B Women in Business Propeller, which is like an incubation program, but instead of incubating, it propels. And I thought that word was like super cool. Like, it literally took me 6 months into business, and I was on this journey for a year with them, and it really just transformed how I viewed everything when it came to my business. It made me dream and like aspire to be bigger, aspire to do more, aspire to have far more impact, aspire to numbers that I couldn't even fathom at that point. I remember in one of the sessions, and these are very private conversations, but I won't mention names, but this blew my mind. I was probably the youngest in that entire cohort. I remember them talking about numbers and really just, financial forecasts. And this one lady was talking about 200 million for the month. And I was like, wow, 200 million for the month. What mathematics is that? It was numbers I never thought are possible. Of course, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Not 200 million a month. We're not there. But what I learned is something that I will carry with me going throughout my journey. And because I had that, I feel so compelled to share. I feel like I'm in a position where I'm not only grown as an entrepreneur through my journey over the past 3.5 years, but I have so much value that I want to share. And these videos are super great, but there's only so much you can share on YouTube. So what we're creating in this private membership club is an opportunity to have a series of master classes where we're targeting particular topics, and we really are building from zero, from the ground up, in helping you start your business. You could be literally doing it as a side hustle because you're in corporate and maybe you love your corporate job, but you do realize that there's a need for an additional income stream. So you could want to be part of this membership club for that very reason. You know, you want to take a talent or your gift and turn it into something that helps you to monetize your skills, which is why we're here, which is why we formulated this entire membership club. I feel like women deserve to be empowered, and like every time I speak about it I get goosebumps. But yeah, I'm so excited. I'm really excited. I'll put some of the details down below, as well as an email address where you can go ahead and pre-register for the Bold Women Africa membership club, and we do hope to see you being a part of that club. We do have pre-registration open prior to our actual launch. We're opening from the 1st of April until the last day of June. So April, May, June, you have enough time to register as we kickstart on the 1st of July. We've got an early bird membership available for the first month, so use that as an opportunity for you to get in. Whatever amount you get in at, or whatever membership fee that you get in at, that's what it's going to stay as for as long as you are part of the membership club. If you do join in at a later stage, that will be the rate that you join in. There's obviously going to be good value from the get-go, and we will get better even with time. But like I've said, we are keeping it to a certain number of women purely because we want it to be as impactful as possible as we walk this beautiful journey with you. That's it for me today. Fun fact, I tried to record this video about an hour ago, and I hadn't pressed record, and the sun was like super beautiful, and now the sun is gone. I hope this video was still good quality nonetheless. If you've watched all the way till here, thank you so much. Please give this video a thumbs up. It just lets me know what sort of content you enjoy seeing from me, and allows me an opportunity to make sure that I keep giving you more of that content. That's it. Until next time. Bye.